Unfortunately, there's that's the crisis in I think in households
Yeah.
is the father, the husband, they're not leading.
Yep.
And so it forces the wife to take on the role of the husband and the wife's role. And then the husband's distant or vacant.
Most babies with Down syndrome are aborted. There's even
It's
some
in
countries.
like 80% or something.
Yeah, I keep seeing 70 and then 90. So I'm just going to say, yeah, I'm probably like an average of 80. It's very high, a very high percentage. And yeah, it was just really sad. Your kid is never, they're never going to read past second grade reading level. They might drive, they might not. You know, all the lists of what they can't do and what your life is going to look like, on top of all of the moms who decided to abort their baby.
This is the Unspecial podcast. We are a space for parents to be seen, heard, equipped, and inspired. We're not here to tell you what to do with your child or present the latest and greatest behavior modifications. We are simply here for you, the parent. And our goal, our hope, is that through every one of these conversations, you leave feeling a little bit more inspired and hopeful. We are glad you're here. Hope you enjoy this next episode. All right, this is the Unspecial podcast. Today I'm joined with Shante Gold, wild.boys.with.extra.love is the Instagram handle. And Shante piqued my interest when the whole YouTuber decided to abort their baby boy with Down syndrome. And I came across you, Chantel, and you are pregnant with a Down syndrome boy. Yeah. And I thought it'd be cool to kind of run through some of your thoughts and just your mindset being pregnant and doing it. Yeah. And then I also really think it's amazing. In your bio, it says like, what does it say? Families
raising a strong family in a chronically sick world.
Yes. Yeah. And just your emphasis on the family unit and men, which you went over quite a bit in your most recent podcast.
Oh, wow. You've been paying attention.
The Rebuild podcast. I just caught that episode and I was like, I need to listen to this before I record with you so I know what I'm doing. But you're a boy mom. You have another son. How old is he?
He's 2.5.
2.5. You're, like I said, you're pregnant with a Down syndrome boy. You've been married for 10 years. Prior BCBA. Full disclosure, the BCBAs and I, in my teaching days, we didn't always see eye to eye.
Yeah.
I'm more on the holistic side of things. Like let's look at behavior, like in a student focused sense rather than a clinical textbook sense.
Well, hey, me and a lot of BCBAs don't align either because I look at things from a very non-traditional way. And I'm sure we'll get into this when it comes to nutrition and movement and sleep and stress and those things, which, you know, those things aren't billable to insurance. So we can't we can't use it. I definitely didn't fit into the clinical world, which is why I got out of it.
Totally. Which I kind of figured would be on the same page. And then you also used to have a coaching business for women.
Yes.
And now you're helping parents support their kids. And you're the a co-host of the Rebuild podcast.
Yes. Yeah. We could definitely get into that. I had a online nutrition and fitness coaching business for women and moms for about 5 years. And you are catching me in the middle of my career confusion crisis that a lot of women usually have after they have kids in their mid to late 30s. And so I changed my Instagram handle literally after I posted my response to the Jessie viral video because I wasn't aligning with the coaching business anymore. So that's pretty recent. I decided that this wasn't my path anymore. Ironically, the company was called Path to Goals. I've decided that this is not my path anymore. And I don't necessarily, or I shouldn't say I don't know what it is. I feel like it's becoming more clear now that I am pregnant with a Down syndrome boy. I did spend about a year like really not knowing what I wanted to do next, and coming back to my faith and really getting back into the word and getting back into my family and getting into this identity as a mom, which was really hard for me to do with my first son because I was so very like business and career oriented. um, and now that we had this diagnosis, I feel like God has given me this new path that I am still trying to figure out, but I definitely want to help any mothers out there with a recent diagnosis, kind of, share with them my thoughts and feelings. I've had so much support from Down syndrome moms who've reached out to me, and it's just been amazing. And so, looking at things through a holistic perspective, like we just mentioned, through nutrition, physical fitness, building a strong family unit, those are a lot of the topics that I'm interested in promoting.
Yeah, man, I gotta rein it in. My ADD's gone crazy. There's so many areas, just so many paths I
I
would
know,
like to
right?
go down. But so let's just start at the beginning. So your
Sure.
background's in BCBA.
Mm-hmm.
What did that look like? You're in schools or private?
Yeah, I was kind of all over the place. So I kind of fumbled into this field. Before that, I was a makeup artist and I wanted to change careers and do something different, go back to grad school, and
Completely different.
completely different 180. And I went to grad school. I started working as a behavioral therapist at an ABA agency. My story is just like any other BCBA. It's, oh, a friend told me about this, so I tried it out and I loved it, and then I went to school for it. So same story, nothing special there. And as I was pursuing my education, I was personally involved in so many different sports: CrossFit, powerlifting, bodybuilding. I just loved physique transformations and getting strong. And so I personally had that under my belt, working with a ton of different coaches. Along my education journey, I discovered that what I was learning in grad school with behavior analysis and behavior change could be applied anywhere that behavior exists. But what I
Mm-hmm.
was interested in was health and fitness and just getting people healthier. And I was in the clinic field for about 6 years before I realized that it just wasn't for me, mostly because you have so many limitations when it comes to insurance. And
Yeah.
I couldn't practice the way that I wanted to. And so I decided to leave the field and started my own online fitness and nutrition coaching company, went through a few mentorships, built a business. I had a team of 5 at one point. And so I was doing that for about 5 years until the last year. Um, some things went down with the business where I kind of finally was like, do I want to keep pursuing this, or do I just want to let it go and move on with my life? And I can't really explain why I was feeling this pull, but since coming back to my faith and getting reconnected with God, I feel like that He was preparing me for this next step that I'm about to experience. And so letting go of the business, as hard as it was, and I felt like a
Uh,
complete failure, because in entrepreneurship, you're not supposed to quit.
yeah.
You're supposed to just push through and keep going. I just trusted him that this is the right path. And then a couple of months later, I was pregnant. And then 3 months after first trimester pregnancy symptoms, that first week of second trimester, I got the diagnosis, the Down syndrome diagnosis. And that just sent me through a whirlwind of emotions.
I bet. I bet.
Yeah.
So you come in. What sparked like coming back to faith? That's one of the main focuses of this space is to encourage parents on a special need journey through faith,
I love that.
um, and just like I don't know. My goal is just to spread some hope. Like you
Yeah.
guys live, and you're about to have a son with Down syndrome, so
Mm-hmm.
you're already living it with your the emotions
Yeah.
that I don't think people understand. I don't understand. I don't have a special needs kid, but every parent that I've worked with, it's very challenging. And so if through story and encouragement, people can find some hope, like that's the goal.
Absolutely.
What brought you back to faith? So this was before the diagnosis.
This was about a year before. So last year, about a year before the diagnosis. It's easy to think that you don't need God when life is going great.
100%. Yes.
And life was going great for a really, really long time for me. Fitness was basically my religion for a really long time. I got into
Yeah.
fitness because I got sucked into drugs and alcohol and I needed to claw my way out of that lifestyle. Fitness kind of replaced that. I grew up in faith, but the second I turned 18, I just left the church, didn't want to have anything to do with God. Just wanted to live my own life, which obviously led to a destructive life. And then I crawled my way out of that through fitness and nutrition. And yeah, for the next 10 years, that was like my passion and what I loved. And I just improved my life so much with that. It gave me the confidence to go back to grad school and build a business and all of these things. And then all the things that went down with my business, I help the business was my identity, like that. I put so much of my worth in that when it wasn't going well and it was going in a pretty bad direction, I didn't have anywhere else to turn, and I just felt so lost and empty. And on top of my new identity as a mom that I didn't really understand or know what to do with, and I felt like I had no other option but to go back and see
Yeah.
what I was missing all this time. And so, my husband's been really supportive. He's Catholic, I'm Christian, but he has been coming with me back to church, even though it's not his cup of tea. He likes the more traditional sermons. I
Yeah.
like the music and the entertainment stuff, and
Totally.
that's not his cup of tea. But he's been
The hip
supportive.
factor.
He's like, as long as you're coming back and going to church, that's all I care about. And so, yeah, I've just started, to kind of trust God again and live that lifestyle and get into the Word and build that relationship with God. And it's been a process because it's so
Yeah.
easy to remember to pray and to talk to God when you're just feeling so crappy and you feel
Totally.
lost. But when like I said, when life is going good, you kind of forget a little bit, or if you're not in that habit, which I'm not in. And so I started noticing recently, because I've been feeling so much better and more positive and happier, that I'm like forgetting to pray and forgetting to read the Bible. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to like make this a habit. It's not yet. So I'm still working on it.
Yeah. And we probably will forever.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like that constant awareness. I was just talking to my brother and talk about like rock bottom and where you come back to God.
Yeah.
But full disclosure, I don't think I've ever shared this, but like 4 years ago, I got a DUI, and I was
I got one
like,
of those.
yeah. And I have a construction business. It was early on, I was spinning out, like, I didn't know how to manage it all and
That's
blah,
rough.
blah, blah. But in that, like, low point, yeah, you turn to God because you got nowhere else to go.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, seeing the blessing of coming back is like crazy now. Like, I have 5 employees. I'm not on the job,
That's
and
amazing.
I drove by the jail like an hour ago, and I was like, man, there it is. I spent a
Yeah.
night in there,
You crawled
um,
out of there.
but just to see how God has like shown up through it all, and it hasn't been easy. It's not like
Yeah.
you come back to faith and everything just like gets a lot better. I mean,
Yeah.
2 years ago, my wife was diagnosed with cancer, and that was
Oh my
kind of
gosh.
another time where it was super low,
Mm-hmm.
and thankfully I had God to come to, and I maybe it's the same for you. Like, God uses those things to prepare you for the next thing,
Yeah.
and so like, do you draw or see that coming back to faith and then facing a diagnosis of Down syndrome?
Yeah. Well, when we got this diagnosis, my husband said something. He said, God doesn't give you strength through easy times. He prepares you through hard times so you can build that strength.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom wrote in a card for me on my birthday or Mother's Day or something. She said, God came back in your life in a really, really specific time because he knew that you were going to need him. And this
Mm.
time you chose him.
Right.
Because before it was, like I mentioned, I grew up in faith, but I felt like I didn't choose that path because it felt like forced. Like I had no other choice. Like this is just what my parents told me to do. I didn't really understand why. And so I walked away from it. But this is like something that I'm choosing to do. And so my mom said, God came back at the right time, but then it's also your choice because you need him. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I do feel like, everything happens for a reason as cliche as it is. And my pull to let the business go makes a lot more sense now to prepare me for whatever is coming in the next few months.
Yeah. Which I can imagine how hard that was as an entrepreneur. It's like, you don't want to do that, but
Yeah.
you did it and you're finding the silver lining in it. Your husband also said something on your most recent podcast you shared that that got me. He said, "You don't pray for no. You pray for God to make you a stronger man, not for an easy life."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh," because going through a cancer journey for 2 years, it has so many ups and downs. And
Yeah.
when I'm on my up, like I'm in that mindset,
Yeah.
like this is just making me stronger. My kids are going to see how I lead through this, and it's doing something for them. But then on the lower parts of the journey, the mindset is like, this sucks, like I hate this, like why is
Yeah.
this happening? But
Yeah.
that kind of reminded me to get back in that mindset. So
Totally. Yeah. My husband has been such a blessing in my life. I could not have gone through any of this stuff without him. And he is, it seems to me that he is unshakable. He had just nothing but words of encouragement and positive things to say from the first time he heard the diagnosis. He kept saying, our standards as a family does not change.
mm,
We cannot lower expectations for this kid. This is going to make us stronger. Like he just kept instilling life into this baby, into our marriage, into our family. And, that was one of the things that I brought up in the video that you found me on was that I feel like perhaps Jesse's wife or maybe them as a couple would not have made the decision to terminate if Jesse showed up differently for his wife.
yes, yeah,
Yeah. Because it
that's
makes
the
such a difference.
well, and unfortunately, it's like I don't know how. Yeah, let's get into it. Unfortunately, there's that's the crisis in I think in households
Yeah.
is the father, the husband, they're not leading,
Yep.
and so it forces the wife to take on the role of the husband and the wife's role, and then the husband's distant or vacant,
Mm-hmm.
and then the whole family unit is off. But I mean, and then if you go back like to the Bible and biblical principles, like the husband is the head of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and my job, men's job is to lead, and if you're leading, most time the wife is going to you know follow the lead,
Yeah. Absolutely. She needs to
and
feel
it's
safe.
it's not like a chauvinist um,
Yeah.
way. It's not like you must lead and follow me, but it's like out of love and example.
Yeah.
And
It's not out of control
hmm
or trying to dominate the other person. It's out of like, well, first a woman needs to trust the man. And
right,
I think that's what culturally we have seen a big cultural shift when it comes to men and women. Women have advanced so much over the last 50 to 60 years when it comes to career development and education and finances, that we've surpassed men at this point. I think about almost half of households where women are the breadwinner. And so this has kind of created a cultural shift. Well, not only that, but we are seeing more women in education and law and medical and healthcare than we've ever seen before. And so that in itself has shifted the culture a little bit. More boys and children in general are being raised without fathers, but this has impacted boys even more because boys who are being raised without fathers then go out into the world, into the education system, or pretty much anywhere else, and they're also interacting with a lot of women. And so they never really get to experience that strong male leadership, which is creating more aggression and violence and inability to know how to respect and engage with women because they've never had that modeled to them. I've done so much research on this
I can tell
since I've had a boy. If you go on our podcast, there's a few episodes ago, I wrote, or we did a podcast, Raising a Boy in a Girl's World. Ooh. And I go through all the research and all the books that I've read, and there's resources in the notes section that any boy moms or men would be interested in this topic. And it's definitely interesting. And so it's opened up my eyes to see that young men are really struggling right now. And us as mothers have an important role in to help guide them, but we have a limited amount of time with boys specifically. I believe that boys always need their moms, but I'm just saying that when we have that like impact of them becoming a man, it reaches like 6 or 7 years old until they start to turn to their dads for that mentorship and for that leadership. And so I just have that in mind. I'm like, okay, well, me as a mom, how can I teach my son how to be more empathetic and, respectful, and teach him skills and become a role model for him in a way that he needs. Because I'm also seeing there's a lot of moms who are trying to teach boys how to have these skills in a way that makes them as women feel comfortable and understand, versus trying to learn how a boy learns, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So in this space of special needs, like the dad is oftentimes out of the picture. And moms are left raising the kids alone.
Yeah.
What would you say to that mom? What would you say to that mom?
Well, the single moms are more common now, like just in general, not even just talking about special needs, but just in general, than they were like 15, 20 years ago. So again, it's kind of like highlighting the problem that men aren't stepping up to be providers and leaders in their families. So women are taking those roles, right? And so in those cases, it's really important to find mentorship through like sports, like putting them in those male environments. I know like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a really great environment for that. Football and, the Special Olympics, that's the first thing my husband said. When he heard about our son's diagnosis, he's like, well, there's always the Special Olympics. And I'm like,
to the positive.
Yeah. Yeah. Always turning around for the positive, which I thought was really sweet.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just his mindset. Like, what else can you do? It's easier to go to the victim, right?
Yeah.
But in the long run, obviously it's not effective. Right. And then you just make your life a lot harder and lead to your destruction.
Yeah, absolutely.
But finding, being a victor in the situation. And that's what one of my business coaches told me after I got the DUI. he was just like, oh, okay. And then immediately he was like, well, don't be a victim, just be a victor. Use it for you. Like life
Yeah, it's
happens.
part of your story.
Right, right. Why do you think it is like so many guys peace out? It goes just back. It's just compounding over the years.
Yeah. I mean, I think the root of the issue is fatherless homes.
Yeah.
So if we can address fathers being present at home, yeah, I don't know all the answers. I'm just trying to pick up the pieces here and there, but there's a couple of things like what I mentioned earlier about women kind of dominating these spaces, like the healthcare and education and social work and all of these areas. Um, we need to help men get through higher education. Yeah, because a trend that's been happening is men and women are starting college education at the same rate, but they're not finishing. So a
Mm,
lot of men are kind of like bouncing from degree to degree, not really, can't really decide what they want to do. And then they just end up dropping out because they're not motivated to finish anything. And so the question is, okay, well, why? But then also there's the economic crisis that we're that's happening right now where men and a lot of people just can't afford to buy homes. So we're living in like a renter society.
mm-hmm,
And it's just been really challenging for young people to date and find love and be financially secure and buy a house. So that kind of like American dream of all of those things that we were sold as young
mm-hmm,
people, it's just not happening for the younger generation. And so I think that's creating a lot of depression and young men turning to video games and porn as a way to kind of like avoid those realities. Um, and women, obviously, because when you graduate with a higher education, they're not going to date somebody with less education and less
mm,
career. Like they usually find somebody who's compatible with them, if not more, and they're having a hard time finding that compatibility. And so they kind of, women just kind of reach a place, well, I might as well just not date and just do everything myself because I can.
mm. Yeah. And then boys are just raised to be boys forever,
Yeah.
you
Stuck in
know?
Peter Pan
Yeah.
land.
But it's interesting. I just thought like you go back to the Garden of Eden and then you hear people are like, oh, it's Eve's fault. I'm like, well, no, Adam didn't step up.
Yeah. I actually said that in one of my podcasts that Kevin, my husband, his reaction to the diagnosis was very biblical to me because I told him what the doctors said about termination and I brought that up,
Mm,
and his immediate words were no. His no, we do what's right, we don't do what's convenient.
mm, yeah.
And I felt like that was a very biblical moment because I had a lot of people putting those thoughts in my mind,
Oh, wow.
and I couldn't help but like start considering it like, oh, should we? Like, is it not even worth it? And so I brought it up to him and he just like put his foot down. He said, no, we do not do what's convenient. We do what's right. And it just created so much comfort in me because he was right. He was right. And then I trusted him enough to know that we were going to lead, like he was going to lead us in the right direction. And I referenced the Bible in that first story that Eve ate the forbidden fruit and unlocked all the sins of the world. And God came
Right.
down and he didn't say anything to Eve, but he turned to Adam and said, Adam, where were you?
Yeah.
And that was
Oh,
exactly the moment.
full circle.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Wow. So going back to the diagnosis,
Hmm.
did you go in for a baby check or like what? When did the news break? Were you alone? Were you with?
Yeah, I was alone. So I took the NIPT test, which is a genetic test, um, which usually happens, I think, around week 10 or 12.
Okay.
And the nurse called me And she said, "Hey, you have a high chance of Down syndrome." And I didn't think too much of it. I'm like, "Oh, high chance doesn't mean anything. There's still a chance that there's not Down syndrome."
You're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, exactly. And I was on my way to meet up with a mom friend for a play day. And so I was just like, okay, whatever. And she scheduled me a call with a genetic counselor. And then later on that day, I had the call with the genetic counselor. And I was on my way to my mom's house. And so she told me, you have a 98% chance that your baby has Down syndrome. This is what it means. And she did lead with all of the negative statistics of kids and people with Down syndrome. Like, just so you know, like, this is typically, the life to expect and blah, blah, blah. And it was a lot to absorb at that time. But when I hung up, I told my mom and I just like started bawling, crying. And my mom's like, "Come inside the house." And so we were talking and, I texted my husband and we talked. And luckily I was able to get a diagnostic test that week. So I opted for the CVS test. And there's two diagnostic tests. There's a CVS and then the amniocentesis. And
oh yeah, you went into that on your podcast.
yeah,
that blew my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I guess people who know that they're going to keep the baby usually don't do those diagnostic testing because it is pretty invasive for the baby. I just needed to know, like for sure, like just so I could plan. And even my doctor asked me, he's like, "So what are you going to do with these results?" I'm like, "I mean, nothing. I'm not going to do anything with it. I just want to know for sure, just so I can plan." He's like, "Oh, okay." Because usually people don't move forward with the pregnancy with these kinds of tests. I'm like, "Oh, well, that wasn't even, we were always going to keep the baby. So it's fine." Yeah. So, so we took the diagnostic test on a Friday and I didn't get the results for another 2 weeks. So
how were those 2 weeks?
The worst. So that's when I was really grieving, crying and reading a lot of forums, mostly on Reddit. My husband told me not to read the false positives. He's like, I don't want you to get that in your head. I think we need to start to understand that it's probably a positive. Like, I don't want you to have false hope is what he was trying to say. And I'm like, I know, but I couldn't help it. And so I kept reading them. I'm like, maybe we're the 1% chance. And unfortunately, a lot of the forums that I was reading, most of them ended in termination of the pregnancy. Most of the things that I was reading, which is really sad. And so going back to what Jesse and his wife did, I always said they just exposed what's been going on behind closed doors for a really long time. Most babies with Down syndrome are aborted. There's even some countries,
like 80% or something.
Yeah, it's. I keep seeing 70 and then 90. So I'm just going to say, I'm probably like an average of 80. It's very high, a very high percentage. And it was just really sad. So it didn't make the process that much easier reading all of the families that decided to terminate the pregnancy. There was maybe like 2 or 3 that decided to keep the baby and kind of shared their experience. But so that was really hard. But during that time, I was really trying to move forward with acceptance that this is going to be our new reality. I just need to be okay with hearing that, yes, it's a positive. So by the time my genetic counselor actually called me and told me the results, I didn't have any feeling about it because I already kind of knew that she was going to say that anyways. And then, when I finally confirmed to my husband that, yes, the diagnosis is a positive, he said, "All right, well, a new adventure for us."
There we go.
There he goes again.
How far along are you?
I'm 23 weeks this week.
Okay, so you're halfway.
Oh my God. Don't even say it. Halfway. I feel like I've been pregnant for like a year.
That's such a heavy moment, like when they start going over the options of abortion and then they start saying all the negative stuff. My wife was diagnosed with cancer 25 weeks pregnant with
Oh
our
my gosh.
fourth child.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I'll never forget, like when they came into the hospital room, there was like 4 or 5 doctors, and they were super awkward.
Oh my
And they're
God.
like, you know, I believe in California, 24 weeks, it's legal.
Oh, okay. I thought like until full term, like until the third
Oh, is it?
trimester. I think they're trying to pass something to make it legal up to the third term. I could be wrong,
Oh,
but it's quite a long time here in California.
yeah. So I just, I mean, you're probably right. All I remember them saying was like, we have to fill out some extra forms, but abortion is an option if you'd like to go down that road. And we're like, no, that's like, we don't need to talk about this. This isn't an option. We're having the baby.
Yeah.
How are we going to get them out as safe as possible?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, we need to keep them in as long as possible because every day early, like you run the risk of boom, 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 boom. And they just went down the whole thing of
Mm.
developmental disabilities and this and this and this. And I, I was kind of getting a little salty, and I was just like, well, if anybody's qualified to have this kid, uh, the way you say he's going to be born, it's me.
Yeah.
So let's just
Let's do it.
continue on. But I remember a couple days after that, it kind of hit me like, oh man, like reality hit a little bit.
Hmm.
And I remember I had a little grieving. I was running the stairs in the parking garage, and I was just cussing, just screaming.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's almost 2 now. Like grace of
Oh.
God, like he's crushing it. No,
And your wife is
no,
good too? How's your wife doing?
she's still fighting.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
we're still like in the thick of it. But
Okay. I'll
she's
definitely
a
pray for her.
fighter.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. Mm.
yeah.
Well,
Two
good for
years.
her. Good for her for continuing the pregnancy. I mean, going through cancer. So, did she have to have cancer treatments during pregnancy?
Yeah, homeboy. He baby Jack is his name, or
Oh,
Jack. He had 2 rounds of chemo in the
wow.
womb,
Wow.
and then she was on numerous pain meds. Like he's a
Wow.
miracle.
Wow.
As of now,
That's
like
amazing.
he was born 29 weeks. He spent 9 weeks in the NICU. But other than him being a preemie and like delayed hitting milestones, delayed because he was a preemie,
Sure.
like nobody, you would never know. Like
Yeah.
the adventure he's been through, and the dude is crazy. Like he doesn't feel pain. Like, he'll
He's
run,
a super baby.
yeah, he'll run into the table and just like scratch his head and keep going.
That's
uh,
awesome. It was the
but
pain meds that he got all those
I
weeks
know
or all those
something,
months.
but it's
Oh,
such a heavy conversation.
yeah.
So now, like looking forward, so you won't know until he's born, like I don't know what are they like it's not a spectrum of Down syndrome, but like the scale of some of those negative medical situations he's going to have.
Yeah, I asked my genetic counselor if there's any way to know, which I kind of knew the answer to. It's kind of hard to determine that when you're pregnant, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that first year of development to see how he hits his milestones, what supports he's going to need, how he learns. I imagine that you don't really know until maybe those first couple years,
Hmm.
um, when he when they typically need those early interventions. So yeah, I won't know, but there's a lot of things outside of my control that I'm trying not to focus on, but I also know that there's so many things that are within my control, and
Yeah,
I'm really focused so much on nutrition, vitamin intake, sleep,
yeah,
managing stress as much as possible, training, working out. Those things I know are very controllable, and better to do those things than nothing at all to at least improve his chances of developmentally, improving.
yeah. Well, I've had multiple Downs students, And I mean, they're so funny, so funny. They got dance moves, A. B, they are so strong. So I'm just going to go on a limb and say your son's probably going to match you in the gym a little bit.
I hope so. I hope he can keep up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of my dreams. Is my son is already, training with me a little bit, and he likes to do his pull-ups, and he'll pull out the hurdles and jump, and that's one of my visions that I have for my family is I want them to see their mom and dad training and then
Yeah.
choose to work out with us because it just looks fun and they want to spend time with us. And I know, especially for children and people with Down syndrome, they genetically have lower muscle tone. And so trying to build those muscles as early and soon as possible to set them up for success is, something that I'm obviously keeping in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you speak on that a little bit from your BCBA background? Like the behavior of kids. Last week, my kids were able to do kid workouts at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to like a High Rocks focused gym.
Cool.
And so they got an hour of like a program workout
Fun.
and they were crushing it. And I had so many friends reach out and random people on Instagram. And they're like, how do you get your kids to work out? I'm like, well, they see me get home from the gym every morning at 6:30. And I take them with me every Saturday for like the last 2 years. And they watch me.
Yeah.
And the phrase that comes to mind is like, learning isn't taught, it's caught.
Yeah.
And with parents that lead by example, like your kids are going to follow.
100%. I truly believe that you cannot teach your kids these things by telling them what to do, that you have to create a home culture that makes these habits normal. Like it has to be like normalized within your own family unit. I'm actually posting a reel tomorrow about how I'm teaching my 2.5-year-old how to grocery shop because
Nice.
I made him this little grocery shopping list visual. I laminated it and I take him to the grocery store and he finds fruits and vegetables, and it's been really cool, bonding for us. I hate going to the grocery store, so this has actually made it fun. And
Nice.
it's really cute to watch him pick his fruits and then take the little marker and cross it off of his list. And he's involved in the food picking, buying process. He's not a picky eater, which, I'm very thankful for, but I do think that getting kids involved in the meal and snack making process and will give them excited to try new things or exposed to new things. So with the same thing with fitness, it's, you just do it for yourself. Like what's normal for you and your partner. Your kids will obviously eventually take interest to it. And I guess, yeah, try not to force it on them. It was funny because
That's the other side of it.
I need to be careful with this, honestly, because I am the type of person that will like drill sergeant my kids
Yeah.
and like force them to do things. So I bought my son these hurdles that were appropriate for his height.
Yeah.
And I would take him to the park. I would like set up like this course and give him directions. I'm like, okay, hop here and then run here. And he was just being a punk and not paying attention and not, following my directions. And I was getting frustrated and he was like acting goofy. I'm like, oh, what a waste of money. Okay, I'm just going to put this away. And then like a month later, he just independently took it out of the storage and laid it up front and just started jumping on his own. And so I thought that was really cool. And it was just a reminder to me that you can't force fitness on your kids. You just need to continue to do your thing as a parent to just create that environment for them, and they will choose to do it on their own at some point.
Yeah. And even like with nutrition too.
Yeah.
Like I homeschool the kids, and a big part of like, I don't remember, it was Wednesdays and Fridays. They're in charge of breakfast.
Nice.
And so I train them on their macros.
Oh, I love it.
Because they're always like,
Good.
for a while, they're like, oh, let's just have cereal. And I'm like, that does nothing for your health.
Yeah.
And so,
Especially first thing in the morning.
right. So I taught him the macros. And then my 4-year-old, like a couple months later, was like, Dad, look at all my macros. And it was like a piece of toast, some sausage, and cheese. I
Oh,
was
there you
like,
go.
all right, there we go. And I'm like, which one's the carb? And then she got them all right.
Oh, I love it. Testing them.
But yeah, I mean, it's homeschool. We do what we want.
Yeah.
Are
I
you going
love
to
it.
homeschool?
Yes,
Nice.
absolutely. I worked in a lot of schools.
Enough schools.
I worked in enough schools to make that decision that we're probably not going to, unless California makes some drastic improvements here. You're in San Diego,
Yeah, where are you at?
Temecula.
Oh, what?
Yeah, we're close.
I grew up in
Oh,
Temecula.
you did?
18 years, same house. Over
Wow.
by Rancho California, Temecula Hills,
Okay. Yeah, we're
like
not too far. We're in
above the
Menifee.
Albertsons. Okay.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's exploding here. So of course everybody from LA and San Diego are moving here
Right.
and commuting.
Well, Menifee got a lot cooler. It was
Yeah.
pretty ghetto back in the day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When I was in high school and people would tell me they're going to Menifee or moving to Menifee, I'd be like, "Why? There's nothing there."
Right.
And now I'm here.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what would you say to a parent that's like got a recent diagnosis?
Well, I guess I can just share what other moms have said to me that have helped so much. I think what is I a lot of moms have said they're really impressed with how quickly I have come to terms with things because I'm still pretty early on in my pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I would say it's probably because I chose to share it on social media. And I know not everybody is like likes to talk to the camera or like share their life on social media. But because I had a coaching business, I feel comfortable in the camera. I feel comfortable talking and kind of sharing about my life. So it came
Yeah.
naturally to me, and it was just kind of like the next step. It has been a huge, huge help because I've gotten flooded with messages from moms and families sending me pictures of their kids and telling me what I can look forward to, and
Hmm.
it like saying welcome to the lucky few, welcome to the club, you're so blessed, you're going to have a great life, and just instilling all of these words of life and happiness. And it's really helped me see things in a completely different way because what I was reading before and what I was hearing from the doctors was all like the doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Your kid is never they're never going to read past second grade reading level. They might drive, they might not. All the lists of what they can't do and what your life is going to look like on top of all of the moms who decided to abort their baby. And so that was in my mind. But now that I've gotten hundreds of messages of families giving me a completely different image and picture of what life can look like and will most likely look like, it's just nothing but joy and happiness telling me that, yeah, their development, it might be a little bit more delayed, but they get there eventually. And my kids love them. Like their siblings have grown to be so empathetic and so compassionate. That's what I'm actually really excited about, is just to kind of see how he bonds with his brother. um I had a mom tell me that she's like, the level of empathy that my older son has developed for his sibling is just something that you can't teach. And I thought that was so sweet.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because I was joking with my husband the other day about how he needs more empathy, just with like little things. I'm like, you need more empathy. He's typical like
Yeah.
military law enforcement cutthroat dude.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. And so I have a feeling that our son is gonna bring out much more
Oh
empathy and
yeah.
compassion in all of us.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
That's funny. What would you give like 5 hacks for moms in the path to wellness? Like, where would they start? What are like the top 5 essential things to help them like get on the path?
Just to like live a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say sleep. I know this
Sleep.
is I know this is counterintuitive because it's so hard, especially postpartum. You're waking up multiple times per night for feedings and whatnot. And so you kind of have to learn how to live life sleep deprived for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so that's like, I know outside of our control in a lot of ways. But once you get past that, you definitely need to prioritize sleep in a way that you create very strict sleep habits. So going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. That's how you're going to set your circadian rhythm, so your body knows when to wake up and go to sleep. A lot of times is we'll put our kids to bed and then we'll stay up watching TV and scrolling on our phones, maybe have a late night snack, and then that bleeds into the next day. And so even if you feel like you want some time to yourself, those last hour and a half, just go to sleep. Just go
Yeah.
to sleep, because the more sleep that you can get, the better. My next hack would be to eat breakfast. Do not skip breakfast. A high protein, high fat breakfast is going to be your best bet to give you that energy that you need first thing in the morning, even if you're not hungry. I'm going to repeat that,
Yes.
moms. Even if you're not hungry, just eat the breakfast. This is going to be with or before that first cup of coffee. So a lot of times moms will wake up, they'll
Ooh.
drink coffee, maybe have
Guilty.
two
Guilty.
that they're going to have 2 cups of coffee. The morning gets away. They make breakfast for their kids, but they kind of skip their breakfast, or they'll take a couple bites of their kids' stuff and then they'll push their first meal to like lunchtime. This causes overeating late at night. So we just want to get to that first meal of the day. Number 3 is
What's your 3
movement.
macros?
3 macros.
Yeah.
What are my 3 macros?
No, eat breakfast, but have all your macros.
Oh, yes. Yes. Always macros.
Yeah.
Movement.
Movement.
Yeah. And I'm not even talking about exercise yet, but just walking. Walking is the most underrated physical activity that we have. Try to walk first thing in the morning. If you can get you and the kids out in sunlight first thing in the morning, moving your bodies, all of you guys are going to be able to sleep better, regulate your emotions better, and just feel better overall. Is that only 3? So you said
Just
5?
3. Come on.
Number 4 would be strength training, at least 3 times per week. If you need to start with just 2, that's totally fine. But I'm an older, I'm 37. I'm going to be 38. I'm going to go for a 3rd kid.
Same.
And so for women specifically, we lose about 1% of muscle mass per year after the age of 30. And
Whoa.
so if we are having kids in our mid to late 30s, then that is obviously impacting that as well. So if we're not building or at least preserving our muscle mass, we're losing it. And so when you throw in pregnancy and postpartum and you're not training and you're not exercising, it gets even worse. And then we reach our 40s, which when we go into 40, 45, we're hitting that menopause stage where it gets much harder because our hormones are making it harder to make healthier choices. And so this is why it's very important to train throughout your pregnancy and postpartum, and not even to like snap back or anything, but just to preserve and build back that muscle mass, because that muscle mass, more muscle that we have on our body, the more metabolically healthy that we'll be as we age as women.
Oh, that's a good one. Because I feel like there's a myth out there that like strength training is not ladylike. And it's like too masculine, but you just put that to bed.
Oh yeah, no, muscle. Well, muscle is really hard for women to build. I mean, it's not like you can lift weights for 2 weeks and be jacked. I wish that was the case, but it's not. It takes so much effort and consistency for us to add muscle mass. And so it's important for us too for postpartum, because we have to, like, our pelvic floor, that's a muscle that we have to rebuild. And so if you go back to deadlifting and squatting and lunging, you're also rebuilding your pelvic floor muscle, which would make that area stronger, your core muscles as well. And so, yeah, strength training is just so important. I would even argue as we age, it gets even more important for women.
Yeah, the nutritionist at a cancer clinic in Mexico that
Mm-hmm.
my wife spent a good amount of time at. His two things were lift heavy weights and eat less calories than you burn.
Yeah,
He was
simple.
like, just if you just do those two, you'll be fine. And creatine, he's like, it's a myth. It builds your muscle, blah blah blah, but it's mostly neurological benefits.
Absolutely. I'm actually taking creatine now for this pregnancy. I didn't in my first pregnancy. And somebody just asked me about it because she saw me in one of my videos taking creatine. And I said, there's just way too many benefits to not take
Yeah,
it. I mean,
totally.
there's not enough studies on pregnant women, but I know there's an ethical reason for that. And OBs are never going to recommend it because they don't want to be reliable for anything. So they have to be very cautious with their recommendations with that. So you can't really rely on your OB for giving you that information. But creatine is just one of the gold standard supplements for, like you said, mental health and depression and strength and building muscle. Like, you just can't beat it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sleep, eat breakfast, movement, strength training 3 times a week. Last one.
Number 5, I would just say having a strong relationship with your partner.
Ooh, there it is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just having the strong relationship with, and the reason why I say that is because when you have a strong relationship with your partner, life, even when life feels hard, it's easier to manage when you have the right person next to you.
Yeah, and just oh man, the kind of the polar opposites of your situation and the YouTubers.
Yeah.
Like you had the man male,
Jesse.
Jesse. He didn't step up, and then in your situation, your husband's like, okay, great, here we are.
Yeah.
And
Let's go.
you hit on it in your podcast of like how different that situation could have been or may have been if Jesse was just like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, we're gonna make this happen.
Yeah.
And if the wife, or I don't know what her name was, how much different her response would have been.
Yeah. I mean, I said, I understand why she reacted, because that was me. I mean,
Yeah.
crying and just devastated to hear these results. And in my opinion, I feel like in certain circumstances, men do need to take the lead, especially when women are so vulnerable. Like, pregnancy and postpartum is such a vulnerable time in a woman's life. Like, our hormones are all over the place. We're extra emotional. Hearing this news from a woman and mother perspective is just emotionally devastating. And I couldn't tell you how comforting it was to hear Kevin, my husband, just stay strong in those moments that I felt so weak. And so I felt sorry for her because she didn't have that level of support. And of course, she was going to do what her husband recommended or what they decided together. And I'm sure he was like, let's just move forward with the termination. And, what is she going to say? No. She was trusting her husband and what he was saying. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, it just goes back to what does your husband say about convenience?
yeah, we don't do what's convenient, we do what's right.
We do it right, right. And I think one other post said like, "We'll try again and hope for a better outcome."
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh wow, okay.
Yeah. It's interesting how the abortion industry has kind of normalized this type of choice and behavior. And that was a big controversy online. There was a lot of people talking about, well, it was their choice. This was, their family's decision. And then there was the other side of the conversation of what they said about people with Down syndrome and a lot of the misconceptions. So there was a lot of, different angles of conversation and controversy this brought up. But, I, since I am a woman of faith and I am pro-life, I couldn't help but think of the morality around what happened to that little baby. And yeah, it was their choice, but choices have consequences. And it's not like anybody left not hurt. Somebody died. A
Right.
little baby died. And
And
we
it
need to
was
have these conversations.
20 weeks, 21 weeks or something.
21.
And
Yeah,
then
so you
were
find out
saying,
the
like,
results at 20 weeks, and then they scheduled the abortion for 21 weeks.
and you feel him moving at that
Yep.
point.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I felt
man,
him
it's
moving.
bizarre.
Yeah. It is really bizarre. I'm like, how? I don't understand how, because I feel my little guy every morning and evening and throughout the day just kicking inside of me. And so it's undeniable that it's a human life that you're terminating.
Right, and I didn't ever really look into how invasive it is
Mm-hmm.
and like what goes into actually terminating a baby. Like that is so heavy.
Yeah.
That is gnarly.
Yeah. And it's thrown or it's talked about as if it's just like changing your oil, like just any other casual, like running an errand. It's interesting. And, I was very pro choice for a really long time.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
was that switch?
Well, I mean, it was during the years that I left faith and wanted to do whatever I wanted. And so I was heavy in drugs and alcohol and, promiscuity. And, when you're living that lifestyle, of course, abortion or the idea of it becomes like, yeah, of course, my body, my choice. You don't want any responsibility for your actions that you're doing at that time. And so that was definitely my mindset. And luckily I never got pregnant during those years, but I think a lot of young women are misguided in terms of sexual freedom is not freedom. I think women are being told a lie that, sleeping around like men can sleep around is exactly the same and it's empowering to us. And, and if you accidentally get pregnant, you can just get abortion and just move on with your life because you're in school and you have all these things going for you. And so we're just creating this culture of selfishness and not really respecting ourselves and our bodies. And then it also, in my opinion, gives more power to men because, of course, an irresponsible man is going to support you in your decision of getting an abortion because he doesn't have to deal with the consequences either. He doesn't have to step up as a dad. And so it's convenient for both parties. And so I think a lot of young people avoid the realities of what abortion is, and they'll call it things like a fetus, or I've heard things like, oh, it's just a clump of cells, or it's like a parasite.
It's life.
Yeah,
I just wonder, like, man, I wonder what God like this. It's got to make him so angry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I mean, his wrath will boil over at some point, and the choices we make will have its consequence.
Yeah, absolutely. So
wild. Yeah. All right, close it out. If somebody leaves this episode remembering one thing about Down syndrome, parenting, life, whatever, what do you hope it is?
Oh man, that's deep. I better not screw this up. That if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. Life becomes exceptionally harder if you do not take care of yourself. And I know that's hard with parenting and especially special needs parenting. But even if it's just a couple small habits that you focus on, like I know I just listed 5, but maybe just focus on one, just eating breakfast first thing in the morning. Or if that's too difficult, then focus on movement, getting out first thing in the morning and, going for a walk. All those little habits will have a compounding effect over time. And it's going to make you an exceptionally better parent when you take care of yourself. You're going to be more present. You're going to be more focused. You're going to be more happy. And you're going to feel so much better about yourself and the way that you're parenting.
Yeah. Health is wealth.
Yep. There you go.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Shante. And I'm excited to keep following along. And do you have a name? Probably don't have a name yet. You don't want to share it.
Elijah.
Oh, you do? Oh, Elijah. Yeah. Oh, I thought that was the other one. What's your other son's name?
Isaiah. Does that sound too similar? I'm probably gonna mix them up all the time. My older one is Isaiah. The baby that's coming, Elijah.
Well, Elijah. Well, make sure to keep him in prayer to continues to develop and safe.
Thank you so much.
Safe.
Yeah, thank you for reaching out, and thank you for having me on. It's been fun.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. We love these conversations, and our goal is for all of you parents to be seen and heard in community with one another, inspired and equipped to take on this life. Just remember one thing: if you don't hear anything else, if you don't remember anything from this week's episode, hear this: you are enough. You have what it takes. Thanks again for being here.